Kia ora, everyone. Thank you for your patience. We just delayed the start of the meeting slightly today just to get some wording right on a recommendation that we have coming. So, tēnā koutou katoa, everyone. Welcome to our... Heck, we must be starting the countdown to the end of our meetings, towards the end of the triennium. Crikey Charlie, hasn't 3 years gone by very, very quickly. Thank you for your attendance. We've got a bit of a streamlined meeting today. An email did go out to elected members just saying that we do have a hui up in Palmerston North today at lunchtime around the Three Waters, which got quite a few elected members are looking at heading up to. So we have rearranged our agenda slightly to accommodate that, and appreciate that some things have been bumped to the next meeting, but I wanted to have the Kapiti Health Advisory Group come in because they've done a lot of work recently with regards to the kaupapa that they are working on, and that is due to go to council towards the end of the month. So I just wanted to make sure that we did our bit with regards to the commitment we've made around better access and better health access as well with regards to the Kapiti Health Advisory Group. So we'll get on with things. Lawrence, do you mind doing the blessing to start us off today, please?
Thanks, Councillor Halliday. Sure. As we deliberate on the issues before us, we trust that we will reflect positively on the communities we serve. Let us all seek to be effective and just, so that with courage, vision and energy, we provide positive leadership in a spirit of harmony and compassion.
Kia ora, and thank you for that. We all have a sensitive content caution here as well, which we are reading out, and I'll just read that out now. The Social Sustainability Committee considers matters across health, education, justice, housing, community connectedness and resilience. To enable full and transparent discussions across these areas, topics may be raised that could be sensitive to some viewers. We encourage meeting participants to be mindful of this when discussing these matters, and for those viewing to use their discretion. Participants within the room are welcome to choose to leave the room if a topic of a sensitive nature is discussed, and those online are able to leave the live streaming and return when they are comfortable. Thank you. Number 2, apologies. I have Michael Moore as an apology, and I have Jackie Elliott as an apology as well. I did have Mia Halborough down as an apology, but I think she's actually online. Great to see you there, and just acknowledging the people that we do have online. I had encouraged elected members to go online if they preferred, due to the brevity of this particular meeting. So can I have a mover for any other apologies that anyone knows of at all? Can I have a mover for that, please? Lawrence, mover, seconded by Rob. All those in favour? Done. Thank you very much. Any declarations of interest in relating to items on the agenda? No? Fantastic. Public speaking time for items relating to the agenda. We don't have anyone registered at the moment? No? Fantastic. Deputations. We did have age concern Kapiti booked to come in as per the agenda. I had a conversation or had an email exchange with them and just asked them to defer that conversation till that interaction to our next meeting. It's not of a high urgent nature. It's a bit along the same sort of lines as the Citizens Advice Bureau, but we'll look forward to having them present at our next meeting as a deputation. Which moves us on to our other advisory group, which is the Kapiti Health Advisory Group. If I could ask Sandra and Ian if they'd care to come to the table, and I note Gina there as well, a council officer in support. Thank you very much. Great to see you back at the table. We've had a great journey over the last couple of months with all the public engagement, so looking forward to hearing how that all went. And I'm under the impression, Ian, that you have a presentation that you'd like to do as well, but I'll leave the floor to you.
Yeah, and hopefully the presentation will appear in a minute. The reassurance I can give you from past presentations is this one is brief. I don't do brief well, but this is brief. And it may well be that my explanation about why it is brief might even be almost as brief as the presentation itself. And listening to some of the banter before, I get the impression that on my left is the rest home faction of the committee, and on my right is the relative youth faction of the committee. I underline relative. And
Thank you,
contestable.
Ian. You can come back anytime.
I just refer Ian to the sensitive content caution.
That's as that is as insensitive as I will get. So, moving on. Just to be clear, that, and I've said this before, but to re-emphasise that we have come into this exercise on the basis that we have a mandate to pursue what we are pursuing. What we've been doing is using more data and information that we've been able to obtain to reinforce that mandate and strengthen it. One of the points that Sandra has made in the presentations that we've given to the community boards and to the public meetings is that, in fact, it actually predates the petition in 2018. And what that is really that there was some years ago, there was originally a proposal for a super clinic, which is pretty much along the lines of what we're talking about now, maybe expressed a lot more generically at that time. And that led on to things, and that included, that preceded but fed into the petition because little had happened. And just to remind us that at the time that petition was signed, it was about half of the adult population of the coast of your jurisdiction. And per capita, I don't believe, I could be proven wrong, but I don't believe that there has been a petition to a local government or central government that's had a higher proportion of those eligible to sign who have done so. But the mandate is strong, and it's all about improving access to health services by local provision or provision locally on the coast in a facility that is able to do that. So Sandra has prepared a report which you will all have on the engagement we've had. And we had 5 meetings of the community board. We met with each of the 5 community boards separately. And then we had 5 public meetings in the same areas of the 5 community boards. I've got to acknowledge Martin's durability. He went to 9 out of the 10 and got the pleasure of listening to me drone on that number of occasions when brevity wasn't an issue. And Gina, of course, trumps her because she went to all 10 and had to lug the technology behind for the sound system. So as you see from Sandra's report, it was endorsed by all the community boards and also by the 5 public meetings, in fact, unanimously. So we then go on to, I should also emphasise about the meetings too, the public well, all of the meetings, in fact. In many of the board meetings, there are in fact local residents there, often coming to either through interest or to raise local issues important to them. But in the interaction with board members, some of that interaction also included people from the public who were there as well. But in the main public meetings as such, there was a lot of good interaction, good questions, and always, enthusiasm and support. Now, the thing that has happened since then is that a report has come out called the National Infrastructure Plan. And that's a plan that is a government plan. And by infrastructure, they're talking, this is health infrastructure. They're talking essentially hospitals and infrastructure of a lower scale than that. There's one problem with the National Infrastructure Plan. There is no plan in it. Apart from that, it may have some merit. But what it does do, though, is it's more actually listing what's in traction underway at the moment, and some pointers about future directions or the direction that the government is looking to go. And I'm highlighting that because it's so timely in terms of your deliberations as we sit now. And what they're talking about is actually, what they're saying is that their intention is to begin exploring shifting care closer to home and setting up our system that less people need, so that less people need to go to hospital in the first place. Now, that's exactly what we're on about. That's our whole argument about if we achieve what we're seeking to achieve, we can reduce the pressure of people having to go into Wellington Hospital and further down the track from Otaki up to Palmerston North Hospital, and particularly their emergency departments, but also their other services as well. By having more outpatient clinics here and having 24/7 urgent care here, you can reduce that. And all the evidence around the land is that when you actually do those things, the first sign of indicator of reducing the pressure is reducing the pressure from that particular geographic area on an emergency department. And it also stays in there that talks about rural and urban ambulatory and treatment hubs of sufficient scale. Now, ambulatory is outpatients, not ambulance, that's also directly what we're on about, what we're proposing. It's got rural and urban, and we're a community that is both. And we're talking about outpatients, and we're talking about treatment. So that again resonates very closely. So we are, despite the difficult times of the system, of the health system, we are as well placed as we could ever be to actually start getting traction on this with Health New Zealand. I think when one of the earlier presentations I gave, I talked about elbow politics, and that's essentially when you don't have control over something, you don't have the prime responsibility for something, you don't have power, but you can have influence. And sometimes influence can be actually potentially almost as important as power or control, because you don't always see it coming, and to get there you can also win hearts and minds in the process. And so what underlying our proposal is to use the process to elbow our way through extending the range and the volume of services that are provided, that can be provided at the Kapiti Health Centre. And so that's sort of, nudging along. I think there's a branch of economics called nudgeonomics. And because Donald Trump has never espoused it, it probably has some credibility. But it's sort of that kind of thing. You elbow your way through with a greater voice at the table than you previously had to get these things. But it can also flow through to other things, because we've tried to make the point in the compelling case that we are in fact part of a wider, as well as a regional health system and a national health system, we're also part of a local Kapiti health system as well. And these are non-KHC, non-Kapiti Health Centre services. So there's KYS, obviously, Mary Potter, Wellington Free Ambulance, Horoti Pai, the general practice that's actually located in as tenants in the facility, other general practices, and there's transport. So we can also, through this process of engagement over developing the Polyclinic initiative, elbow our way through to support those services, those providers that I've just mentioned, and needs as well. So there's an opportunity there so that we can take advantage. It's not just the structure of the polyclinic, it's the influence you can have on a whole range of things that run alongside it as well. So essentially, we've kind of done our job now, and it's over to you. We can do no more at this stage. But if I could just come back to elbow politics for a minute, we're aware of a number of concerns that relate to the polyclinic, relate to the existing facility, and relate to, but also a bit independent of it as well. that the CAG is getting frustrated, or not frustrated by, is picking up on the feedback on the frustrations that people are having in those areas. And by our socialisation of our polyclinic initiative with Health New Zealand, which the vibes have always been good, even if it is a moving feast of the people we're getting the vibes from, they're now keen, they've responded quite positively to a request for us to actually have a meeting with Health New Zealand so we can actually talk about these sort of pressing issues at the moment, like the rental for the Horatapai at the facility, for example. There are other examples, Wellington Free Ambulance. So that's part of the elbowing. But for this now, these are the recommendations, our recommendations to Council via this committee. Now, those recommendations went out to, were also taken to, and explicitly portrayed, as you can see them on the screen, to the both the board meetings and meetings with the boards and the public meetings. And so they were picked up as part of that endorsement. And so we are really seeking your endorsement or support, however way you craft the introduction to the resolution, of these two resolutions. And that's to develop a memorandum of agreement to incrementally expand the services along the lines that we've talked about, an agreement between Health New Zealand and KCDC to do that, and and then as part of the implementation of the memorandum be as much as possible co-designed and planned by both Health New Zealand and KCDC, now within their respective statutory authorities roles. So that's sort of it. I need to emphasise that throughout the process we've made it very clear as sort of some basic points. First of all, that what we've been taking out to the meetings we've been to have been CAG recommendations, not council recommendations. But it is what we are recommending to council. So we've never said or suggested or implied that what we're taking is coming from council. The second thing is we've made it very clear that this is not a hospital we're talking about. It's not in the sense of being 24/7 acute emergency departments, surgical operating theatres. And the third point that we have made very strongly is that we're not seeking or not recommending that KCDC be a provider of health services. It be an advocate with an enhanced voice over improving health services. I think I'll leave it at that.
Thank you for that, Ian. Sandra, is there anything you wanted to add to that at all?
Not particularly, just to emphasise, as Ian said, that we were really surprised at the very positive reception we had at all of the meetings, and that was very heartening. So I don't think you'll find a lot of negative pushback in the community.
Thank you for that, Sandra. I think that sort of ties into health being part of the priorities. I think I'll just quickly cover an elephant potentially in the room, as why is Council even looking or considering this, considering central government's view on wellbeings, but they haven't been removed as such. But we're community builders, in my opinion, and our community has said that we have some interest in health with regards to better outcomes than what we're receiving in our district. And what I see us as council as being a neutral body that can get into that elbow politics side of things and advocate for more for positive outcomes for our community in this space. And this is where I see the pathway of this going. So I'll open up the floor to questions, if anyone has one at all. Rob.
Oh, thanks, Chair Martin. No, thanks, Sandra and Ian. Look, I've just got one concern is that, okay, the polyclinic's great, totally endorse that for Kapiti. Wonderful opportunity, and thanks for presenting that. Just a concern for Otaki residents. We will have difficulty getting our people down to it, and the transport situation isn't that flash. We don't have a train service, a proper one, and the bus service replacement's pretty pathetic. So I do have a concern about the availability of Otaki residents using the polyclinic at Pavramu. Also, I know it's out of the scope of this meeting, we do have a shortage of doctors, and that is a major problem in the country, and I hope central government address that fairly quickly. But very concerned here. I designed a medical centre for Waikanae, and it actually had to close down at the beach there due to lack of doctors. So really, we have to address that problem too. But yeah, thank you for bearing with me with that.
Well, I couldn't agree more with on the last point about the shortages, and they in reality will be, and it won't be just doctors, be nurses as well. In fact, with the decision yesterday on pay equity, the group most directly affected, one of the groups most directly affected, possibly the most numerous, is general practice nurses. And so that might intensify that challenge as well. But that's something that is out of our control, but it is there, and that will be ultimately the biggest obstacle to getting sufficient momentum. But you've just got to slog away, and at some point take the opportunity when things may improve. On the first point, look, you're right. Otaki is always going to be the last part of the coast to benefit from this initiative. And the reason for that is the relationship with Palmerston North Hospital. And that's been a logical relationship in terms of proximity. It's logical for GPs in Otaki to refer their patients on to Palmerston North when they need hospital care. It makes good sense, although there are some that do actually come down to Wellington, I noticed from the data, but primarily to Palmerston. The two things will start to make a difference is if we get a sufficient number of expanded in a range of outpatient clinics here that will sufficient to incentivise and give GPs confidence to refer patients here because it's closer than to Palmerston North. And the other thing that would make a difference would be if we achieve 24/7 urgent care after hours. That will, or in hours as well. But if we achieve that, then that will make a huge difference, a significant difference. Your point about transport is absolutely right, and we've got enough challenges with transportation into Wellington Hospital. But part of the compelling case features quite strongly the importance of actually the polyclinic site being a transport hub where it's needed. Now, it's needed clearly south, and it hopefully will be needed by the expansion further north. But that will be a bit further down the track.
Thank you.
All better points, Rob. And I just wanted to acknowledge that KCDC and Kapiti Health Advisory Group both submitted into the Greater Wellington Transport Plan on Monday, specifically talking about exactly what you're talking about, that linkage to Otaki for the rest of the community as well. So we'll see what outcomes come out of that as well. But certainly it's an issue. Nigel.
Yeah, thanks for that. Just a couple of points. One is as the central government is trying to dash headlong into the privatisation of health, is that a factor for you guys? Has that been a consideration? And the second one really for me is I take your point about the anti-women stance of the current government, which is pretty clear for everyone to see. The third point really is KHAG's job, I don't think is done by any means. We've got, I think, on the books about 3,600 dwellings on the fast track here. As you yourselves will know, and as Martin alluded to, we've already had one medical centre, or Rob alluded to, there's been one medical centre closed through lack of staffing. Council can do X amounts, but in terms of the nudge thing, see an absolute role for KHAG in pointing out the realities of these massive developments that are going ahead with no medical services at all, putting massive pressure on a system that is already overpressured. So I don't know if you guys, I know you've avoided being political, but it's hard not to be if you're an advocate for something. We almost are by definition. So I just wondered if you have a view about that.
That's certainly something we're really conscious of, Nigel. The growing population here is going to put huge pressure on the whole community in all sorts of ways. It is something we will keep banging on about. This is something that will help a little, but there is a big problem there, and we will take it on board.
Yeah, just adding to that, there is an argument that CAG could play more of an advocacy role, or more of a, well, we do, but more of a more visible advocacy role. I always need to be careful because when I'm speaking on behalf of an organisation like CAG, I moderate. When I was representing senior doctors, I moderated it within that framework, although it was more expansive. And when I'm me, more likely to let rip. And I just have to always compartmentalise. Occasionally, I get the compartments wrong. The point about privatisation, my views on privatisation of core public health services have been expressed for many years. The issue with the polyclinic, though, is that the reality is privatisation occurs when both something is run down and there's profits to be made. Now, the profits to be made in public-private partnerships are in the way a facility is designed, constructed and built, and often subsequently operated. And so that profit extraction comes out of the, in my view, and the international literature would reinforce it, the money that should actually be going into the services. But in something like this, we're talking about of a scale. We've had recently the department in Middlemore Hospital, its emergency department was reopened, rebuilt, extended. That was a major capital works within a particular service. There was no public-private partnership in that because there was no profits to be made from it. No economies of scale, you just couldn't make a bob out of it. And I think our polyclinic is pretty much along those lines. I don't think it would attract the interest of people trying to make a profit out of it because of the profits won't be, there are better pickings elsewhere and there wouldn't be much. That's my general view.
Yeah, BlackRock will take their money somewhere else. I just noted too, also on Radio New Zealand yesterday, there was an excellent interview and piece in the hospital it was in Palmerston North, where a nurse was faced with a gun in the car park, and their security, the cleaners are now called cleaner security. So people who are cleaners now have to be security. So the insanity is already happening, and it's happening close to us. And by the way, that is impacting Kapiti people now because Otaki people are still going north. So that's happening in their hospital. It should be reflected that our Kapiti people are being already impacted by those kind of appalling changes. Just
Thank you for the views there, Nigel. I think my reflection on all that is that we can ask KHAG or Kapiti Health Advisory Group to work in that space. That's really I see that advocacy role for our community. Us or KCDC being involved in that, or councillors being involved in that, is adding a lot of strength and weight to that process around that as well. Certainly what I'm seeing with regards to our relationship with the Regional Health Network that we've just signed up for is offering some very good pathways with regard to that sort of interaction. And Lawrence.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you for the work that you've done in getting out into our community and talking face to face with them. That's invaluable stuff for us, and I know how hard that is. So thank you for the work that's gone into that, along with Gina's support for all 10 meetings. Just one question for me. I know Keneperu has an accident and emergency. I'm not exactly sure. I know there was a bit of a battle going on around keeping that open. How does that sort of align with the conversation that's going here? Because we're struggling to keep that one open and we're wanting to increase our urgent care 24/7 here in Kapiti as well. Can you just help me with that process and how that aligns in that challenge? Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Lawrence. That's a good point. There's been a myth that there is an A&E at Keneperu. There isn't. There is what is in effect a private practice staffed by a range of doctors there that is providing a fairly expensive service. So if you want to go there, I think it's about $85 is the latest list we have on our website of their charges. It's not at all like an A&E. It is more just like a GP that extends its hours till, I don't know if they're 24/7 again now, but they weren't for a while. So it's quite a different beast, and the ambulances just go straight past. People, I think if they've got into their car from Kapiti, carry on to Wellington, because Wellington is better equipped and it doesn't have a charge. So that's part of the reason that Keneperu has not had the support from Kapiti people that we might have expected.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thanks for alleviating that myth. Very helpful. Appreciate that.
Sorry. Do we know if there's anyone online that has a question? No questions from anyone online. Okay, so we have we've prepared a recommendation. We've just had a chat before, preparing a recommendation to come from this committee. If I could ask it to be put up. And can I just confirm with council officers, this is coming to council towards the end of the month, is that correct?
Yes, it's a plan to get it on the agenda for the 29th of May council meeting.
And there will be a report coming in relation to that?
Correct. Yeah.
Yep, okay. So we're not really looking to endorse this recommendation per se. It's more acknowledging the work that's been done and acknowledging support for the process that's going to lead to the council decision on the 29th. So we've just prepared this as a potential recommendation. If anyone could have a quick read over that and offer.
Question.
Yes?
Just on the recommendations from KHAG, that the Health New Zealand and Kapiti Coast District Council, there's no mention of iwi here, so automatically it would involve iwi being with the council?
Look, I think that's a fair assumption.
I think through our partnership with iwi, yes. I think there's more to be done in terms of partnering with iwi and talking to them about this work. And some of that might be done through our health strategy work. We're talking with the iwi Māori partnership boards in that space.
Yeah.
So certainly we'll be talking to them.
I guess bearing in mind also that we do have iwi representation at this table.
Yeah, well,
and
I
there'll
was
also
just
be
checking.
iwi representation at the council table as well when the decision's made.
Yeah, I know.
with
I'm
regards.
just making sure that there was a good relationship there with iwi. Yeah.
Certainly being worked on.
Cool.
Yeah, I've certainly noticed looking at some different parts of the country that there's different relationships at different levels, and having one post and two pre-settlement iwis in our district does make it challenging for iwi in those spaces. But no, we always work. We always work
I
towards
was
a
just
positive
making sure
relationship
that.
there.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Just in relation to the positioning of the polyclinic at Paraparaumu, can we have some reference to transportation facility? No.
Look, the reason, sorry to cut you off on that one there, Rob. There's a specific kaupapa here. What you're talking about to me is separate. This is about a report, us supporting this particular kaupapa to come to council for consideration.
I appreciate that. KHAG have given us a report. We've put that up as our definition of what they've said.
Okay,
We did discuss transportation. I was just wondering if that
this
could
is
be
not a
linked in.
dictatorship. This is a democracy. If we want to add something in there for consideration, but to me that can be discussed at the council meeting. This is coming as a process coming through. We could add all sorts of things to this. We have a transport subcommittee in Kapiti Health Advisory Group who have come to us and have reported as well. This is about access, and this is about this particular kaupapa is about specifically increased services down here.
Well, services is access, isn't it?
Martin, could I comment? May I comment?
Yes.
Yeah. Look, just to reassure you, Robert, that transport is critical to access, and transport is a feature of the compelling case. And that's why it's there as a hub, both south and north. And so I take Martin's point, if you start singling out that, then one of all the other access issues. But transport is critical to access, and it's spelt out as such in the compelling case.
Thank you. We'll be following that up at the next meeting.
Oh, I have every expectation you would be, Rob.
Mr. Chair, I just had a question on the recommendations.
I'll just go with Nigel first.
Okay.
On it's
Go.
really
You're going to... Okay. I'll just... what's your question there, Kathy?
It's just see, it's got
Sorry.
last line, considered by council at an upcoming meeting. Can you define upcoming meeting? Is that the next meeting or when?
We're aiming to get it on the schedule for the 29th, which is the next meeting.
Okay,
yes. Yeah.
great. Just making sure that upcoming meeting wasn't in 6 months' time.
Fair enough. Lawrence.
Can I suggest a streamline to only 2 recommendations rather than 3?
Sure.
The majority of C is said in B, and I would suggest reword B to say notes and supports the recommendations outlined in the appended presentation will be considered by council at an upcoming meeting.
Yep.
Removing C completely.
Can I have some nods or heads or? Good idea. Yep. Okay. Yep. We can support that. If we could update that, Katie. And would you be happy to move that at that point? Oh, sorry.
No, that's right. Before the will, can you add in a that or a which?
Just talk to Katie.
Oh, it's all right.
Kate, if you like, Lawrence.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So recommendation B would read, that's it there.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay, I'm happy with that. Lawrence.
I don't think I've ever been told I'm grammatically better.
You have to move the amendment now.
I was never moved in the first place, so I'm happy to move those recommendations.
And Nigel, have a second? Yep, cool. All those in favour? Aye. It's passed. Excellent, thank you very much. And look, just while you guys are here, just thank you so much for all the work you're putting into this space. I appreciate, and I'm well aware of the hours that have gone into this, but into the general work that the Kapiti Health Advisory Group is doing as well, and I can assure you it is much appreciated.
Thanks, Martin.
Oh, my apologies. I've been completely and utterly rude and not checked in with the people online. Is there anyone online that doesn't agree with this motion as such?
Are they still there?
No, they're all there. The 2, 4, 5, 6 people online at the moment. Well, actually, no, we've actually, hang on, I'm just going back. 1, 2, 3, 4, yep. Yep, Hurawa's just gone, I'm good. Yep, no, we're all good there. Hang on, after saying that, we need the vote to come in. So can I just have a hands up from the people online to support the motion as well? Would be appreciated. Yes, dotting I's and crossing T's, my apologies. Yep.
What do you want, Salka?
And to me, that's enough.
Hi, Martin. Sorry, I just pulled over. I'm just en route to Palmerston North because I had something to do on the way.
Oh, yep.
All happy with everything that's being proposed, and congratulations to KHAG on the work that's happened. It's absolutely fantastic.
Excellent. Thank you for the words, Janet. Much appreciated. Oh, Kim? Did see you popped up there? I think you're on mute. You might be on mute there, Kim.
Are you there? Can you
Yes.
hear me now?
Can hear you now.
great. So we're just going to abstain from this motion today just because of the conversations that are continuing.
Sure. Would you like that noted, Kim?
Yes, please.
Yep. Okay. We can call it division then. You can just note that? Okay. That's noted. Thank you, Kim. Okay. So that motion is passed. Thank you very much. Okay. Thanks, Guy. Thank you, Gina. Right, moving on to 7, members' business. Any leave of absent requests? No? Fantastic. Matters of an urgent nature? That's no. No one said anything to me. And members' items? We will park that to the next meeting. Around things. Confirmation of minutes. Confirmation, the minutes from March 25. Are there any comments on the minutes at all? Excellent minutes. Fantastic comment. Can I have a mover for the acceptance of the minutes? Rob? Seconder? Nigel? All those in favour? Aye. Just kicking online. Nothing there. Fantastic. So with that, we'll move to a closing karakia. I just comment, appreciate the fact that we had a meeting. It was considered to be cancelled today, but I was quite keen to sort of keep the meeting going with regards to the Kapiti Health Advisory Group. But also I think it's important that we do get together when scheduled, even if it is just for a quick touch base as such. So I do appreciate the people that are here and are online, and also appreciate that we're heading off to another meeting, and looking forward to the presentation by the Age Concern at the next meeting, and whatever else will turn up. And also we have the terms of reference, bit of an update on the terms of reference journey with regards to the disability group and the Older Persons Council, which we'll get a bit of an update at the next meeting. Is that's sort of the plan? I'm picking it is. Okay, so kia tau nā manakitanga ki ronga I a tātou katoa, kia hua a te makihikihi I ki ana, ki tau te kupu ki tau, te reo ki tau, te warua ki tau, te Māori ki roto I a mātou mahi katoa e tini rā, hui e, tā ki e. May blessings be upon us all and our businesses are successful, so that our words endure and our language endures. May the spirit be strong, may Māori be settled and in balance with activities we will do today. Join, gather and unite forward together. I wish everyone a wonderful day. Get out and enjoy the sun. We're all heading up to Palmerston North to have a bit of a chat about the water situation, and we look forward to seeing you in about 6 weeks' time. Kia ora.